Hi, this is Taryn Grome, editor of Pharma Voice. We met with numerous inspirational thought leaders at this year's DIA annual conference as part of our Editors Take video series. I hope you enjoyed this discussion.
In this episode, we chat with Joseph Sgherza, Senior VP, Global Operations, ClinicalRM. What global trends and pandemic responses are you seeing in commercial and government clinical trials?
Well, I think the government and commercial space is working very transparently, especially in a pandemic situation. It's essential that they both work in a symbiotic relationship in such a crisis like the Ebola crisis, where we're finding out that we're able to work with each other and collaborate more frequently, which has the ability of getting our individual protocol as well as equipment through regulatory hurdles very quickly. So we rely on the government just as they rely on us. We've been invited by the WHO as well as several government agencies that have asked for input from us, which the government and the private sector, the commercial sector, is really working as a joint effort.
What are the biggest challenges involved with running clinical trials associated with pandemic outbreaks?
It's really the training. A lot of the locations are third world countries, unfortunately, and what we're seeing is the intellectual infrastructure is lacking. So we're able to bring in intellectual experts for training as well as infrastructure intellectually to build a training program in some of these third world countries, which is severely lacking. So we're able to train people on the ground in country, which allows for better trained medical experts in a clinical setting for conducting the clinical trials, such as Africa. And we're able to do that in a much more collaborative effort. And our response time has been very quickly in a pandemic situation.
What are some of your innovations in terms of logistics?
Yeah, well, we were able to bring some of the blood mobiles. We're doing an apheresis convalescent plasma study in West Africa. And during the Ebola crisis, we were able to bring in 3 blood mobiles thanks to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as well as the Paul Allen Foundation, and support from a lot of these collaborations from the foundations. And we were able to mobilize, equip the units very quickly, bring in cold chain experts, and in very harsh conditions, we're able to maximize the need for these Hope mobiles, as they were called, into Guinea, Liberia, and a lot of the remote locations to bring the treatments and apheresis units where we can bring survivors in a convalescent plasma study to treat, to take patients' survivors' blood in order for our convalescent plasma trial.
In what capacity are you able to assist in pandemic situations globally?
Well, we're able to bring people on the ground. We have boots on the ground as well as affiliates with ClinicalRM Africa in Kenya. So we have quite a number of people in the hot zones in West Africa, and we're able to not only deliver training, but we're able to monitor and conduct project management in continent, which is very needed, so that you are able to react very quickly. We're able to come up with creative ideas in the hot zone. As you know, in a PPE suit in a pandemic in a hot zone, it's very difficult to get the data out of the hot zone because you have contaminated equipment. So we were able to come up with out-of-the-box ideas, such as internal scanners that will be able to reach outside the hot zone, come up with creative ideas to get the data to our research facility very quickly so that we can process the data, find out if there's more treatments available.
Therapeutically, in what direction do you see the CRO industry moving?
I see infectious disease as being one of the key components in therapeutic areas emerging. We have seen many of the viruses globally, especially in Africa, as you mentioned, Ebola, as well as chikungunya, and some of the other strains and virulent diseases. there's a definite need for people to be in country to be able to treat these infectious diseases more readily and quickly. So to get ahead of the disease, there's a definite interest and need for the community at large to create vaccines and new treatment modalities to prevent disease, as well as in training, especially with a lot of the countries that would have a certain disease like Ebola. We're finding out that it's no longer just concentric to a country. Because you can almost get anywhere in 12 hours by plane, we're finding out that it has very unfortunate, very far-reaching effects in other countries that are getting infected. So we have to come up with creative solutions in order to meet the needs of these difficult diseases that are very virulent. Creative solutions are really education. It's really awareness and education and training in country because of the very different cultural differences, such as burial practices. Training is needed in country, especially in West Africa, where we're finding out that training is really the common denominator and rate limiting for protecting patients and subjects from Ebola. So I would say education is really a key component, and compartmentalizing and ensuring that the disease is contained. So I'd say education is definitely one of the key factors, but also it's bolstering the medical care facilities and enabling them to communicate more readily and to communicate with government agencies as well as the research community.
For more information on this topic, visit our Thought Leaders website.
For more Editors Take videos from the 2015 DIA Annual Conference, visit www.pharmavoice.com. Thanks for joining us.